What's up, everyone? It's the Autistic Scyther here, and, well, as much as I like things like video games, Pokémon, Fire Emblem, anime, what have you, one of the few that I've never mentioned that I always enjoy is music. I mean, honestly, when it comes down to songs or music that I like, there's not always one definitive answer, since mine changes over time. However, it kind of makes sense that after watching Phantom Strider's video about this, I decided to make one of my own. So, at this point, why not? Why not attempt this? So, that being said, here it is. My top 10 favorite songs. Now, honestly, these are those I enjoy, so I admit everyone has their own favorite songs that they enjoy, so if you don't agree, that's fine. Just put your favorite songs in the comment. And with that being said, let's get started. Starting off first at number 10, we have, of course, 123 by Megami33 featuring Mark the Groot. Alright, honestly, when it comes down to it, I like a lot of song covers. And honestly, some of the YouTubers I've watched are those that have created covers of specific songs, like Nate Wants to Battle, Caleb Hiles, Jonathan Young, CG5, Lil Janie Cakes, and even PM7, aka Postmodern Jukebox. Even PMJ, aka Postmodern Jukebox, not PM7. Sorry, John. But that being said, one of the most notable ones is Megami33. And honestly, I've heard a lot of her songs, like I'll Be Alright, or her cover of Will, the third opening of Pokemon Horizons. Two things that I never thought I would like the opening of Persona 4, or the opening of ya boy Kong Ming. At least I think that's what that is, I'm not even sure. However, honestly, one of my favorites is 123, and this one really does say a lot, since Pokemon Journeys the series is one of the few that I've actually seen and I actually enjoyed. Granted, the Unova anime is one of my favorite arcs of the anime, followed closely by the X and Y anime. So it really does say a lot. And the fact that two of the English openings were actually sung by Canadian group Walk Off the Earth and of course American group Echo Smith, which I had not heard any of their songs since like Cool Kids and Bright, it really isn't. I've really enjoyed it more often than not. However, the main reason it's at number 10 is again because of the fact that I love both Pokemon and Fire Emblem. And considering how I've been wanting to make my own Pokemon Fire Emblem crossover fanfiction, it goes to specific songs that would be, well, I guess I'd say themes of those crossover fanfictions. And this song makes me wonder what it would be like if Pokemon Journeys and Fire Emblem Three Houses crossed over. Like Ash and Go in the World of Three Houses. So that's why I basically like this song as much as I know. Which really does say a lot. Moving on next at number 9, we have Together Forever by Rick Astley. Alright. Honestly, when it comes down to Rick Astley songs, naturally, The one most anyone would know about is Never Gonna Give You Up. And honestly, it's kind of memes in the internet that has basically kind of brought the song back to where it is. And honestly, while I admit Never Gonna Give You Up really does make some sense, although in terms of Persian he does not like it, in fairness, one of the first Rick Astley songs I ever remember hearing was Together Forever. And as much as I like Never Gonna Give You Up, Together Forever has that bit of a beat that I can find myself dancing to no matter what. And honestly, while Never Gonna Give You Up basically just reacts with apathy or kind of nonchalance and saying, oh, this song again. Okay. Every time I hear Together Forever, I just always react with excitement because it takes me back to when I was a child and hearing this on the radio for the first time. Which honestly really says a lot. Yeah. Moving on next at number 8, we have Lil Boo Thang by Paul Russell. Granted, I know, everyone's gonna get a little annoyed at this and saying, oh, you like this song? And at this point I have to say, yeah, I kinda do. And honestly, more often than not, when it comes down to recent songs, I have not listened to most of them on the radio as much as I like. Namely because I've been busy with a lot of other stuff. But when it comes down to it, certain songs I tend to essentially latch onto quite easily. I mean, that was the case with Celestial by Ed Sheeran and Lose Control by Teddy Swims, to name a few. However, surprisingly enough, every time I heard Lil Boo Thang, I was like, the first time I heard Lil Boo Thang, I was like, okay, this is an interesting song. How have I not heard it? But every time, it's so short that I tend to, every time I hear it, I'm like, wait, that's it? And it's kind of weird. But honestly, more often than not, I've played this song a lot. And honestly, you gotta admit, it gets me dancing every time. And it's especially interesting since I did a karaoke version of this song at karaoke at my day program, and honestly, I had fun with it. Not sure what other people thought, others at the day program thought, but honestly, really, it's really one of the most fun songs I've ever had. And there is a good chance I'm gonna listen to it more today, so whew, I'm gonna be eating good. That's all I gotta say. Moving on next at number 7, we have a tie, surprisingly enough. In this case, it's a tie between Leave the Door Open by Silk Sonic and Treasure by Bruno Mars. Oh boy! Honestly, when it comes down to it, there's always a lot of singers or musicians or bands that I enjoy more than anything else. And one of those is Bruno Mars. As more often than not, a good amount of songs I will hear from him, I will listen to a lot. And that really does say a lot once you consider how much I've listened to them. Granted, at least when it comes to most Bruno Mars, most songs from him, honestly, I tend to essentially move away from them because of certain circumstances. Again, case in point comes courtesy of Uptown Funk because of someone else because of someone at my day program basically using that song to torment me to the point that I've decided to stay far away from it and not listen to it as much as I want to because of that person at my day program. But that being said, honestly, when it comes down to it, when it came to his joint effort with Anderson .Paak, like Silk Sonic, I actually like Leave the Door Open because as much as I don't want to listen to a lot of R&B, I can understand when an R&B song has that sort of groove, like as Etika puts it, has that feeling of as Etika puts it, is that love-making music, like that romance music. And honestly, I just can't help but find myself getting down to Leave the Door Open. That whole jazzy, romantic vibe to it. That baby-making vibe. I did not even think I'd say that, but yeah. Really has that. Yeah. There's a first for everything. But when it comes down to it, honestly, if there's ever a Bruno Mars song I will listen to, it's Treasure. Because honestly, it's one of those pure those pure songs that you can't help but to dance to every time. And every time I hear it, I just feel like I have to drop everything and just break it down on the dance floor. And considering how I got now that's what I call music CDs, it's kind of obvious that one of the CDs I have, now that's what I call Music 48, I listen to Treasure a whole lot. Right, so I think that's why I kind of wore it out. So, yeah. Really says a lot. Moving on next at number 6, we have Can We Kill from Neo. Here's another artist whose songs I enjoy, and surprisingly enough, that makes a lot of sense once you consider I've actually owned every one of Neo's albums, except for his more recent ones. But that's because I haven't bought CDs all that much. And honestly, I have at least my favorites from each of his albums. That being said, the one I've listened to the most was in fact his second album, Because of You. And granted, while I would have essentially considered something like, well, the title song, Because of You, because I've heard it so much on GTA, whenever I played through GTA 4, honestly, I always end up choosing the songs that most people don't think of. And honestly, it has to be Can We Kill. And it has that sort of gospel style feel to it that, as an R&B song, that I can't help but to get down every time I hear it. And honestly, it's a pretty solid song. And knowing how I want to essentially just hear songs I like, and this goes back to my day program, but every time we have like a dance party of sorts, I always want to suggest songs that I like that possibly others might like. And more often than not, one of them is Can We Kill, which is surprising because I don't think, and again, not sure what anyone else thought there, but honestly, that was one of the songs I enjoyed. And Yeah, it's a surprising thing to say the least. So, yeah, really does say a lot. And and keep in mind, I'm on the autistic spectrum, so it says a lot once you realize that I have a love for all these R&B jams. So, yeah. This will be continued in part 2.